recording and we can introduce ourselves. I'm Kate, president of F3. It's nice to see you, Haley. I'm glad you got to join us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's awesome.
Hello, I'm Hannah. I'm vice president of F3.
Hi, I'm Gabriella, and I'm the event coordinator for F3.
Hello, I'm Syra, and I do marketing for F3.
Hello, I'm Nini. I'm just a member.
Awesome.
I guess this is my turn. I'm Joey. I'm also just a member.
Amazing. Cool.
Yeah, welcome, Haley. Go ahead and however you wanna do it.
Cool. So just for those of you who are on screen or can raise your hand or whatnot, have you all heard of the CSU Entertainment Alliance before this mailing went out? A little bit. Okay, interesting. Yeah, we're constantly working on getting the word out, and it's interesting because we're actually housed at San Francisco State currently. So it's even a challenge on our home campus, but I'm glad that you all found us and are here and excited to be connecting with all of you. I also am a member of the MFA program for cinema at San Francisco State, so there's a deeper connection for me there. But with the CSU Entertainment Alliance, we were created out of the Chancellor's Office, which is kind of like the mothership for all of the CSUs. So there are 23 campuses across California that all fit into this network of CSUs, which means that your network of alumni and such is massive, everything from San Diego State to CSU Northridge up to Humboldt and in between. So there's a ton of people, and it's, I think, close to 4 or 5 million alumni. 1 in 10 Californians is a CSU grad. So we're everywhere, which is amazing for networking, especially when you're talking about film and opportunities like that, because, you know, it's so much about who we know and who we can pull in to help us and all of that. So something that I always like to mention to folks, because, you know, when you're talking about networking and getting to know people, it's usually much wider than, you know, just I'm a San Francisco State alum, which is amazing, or student, and it's a very cool opportunity, but you're also part of this bigger system. And so they created 4 initiatives out of the Chancellor's Office to cover the 4 main drivers of the California economy, ours being entertainment. There's one for water, there's one for agriculture, and there's one for hospitality and tourism. And as you all I'm sure know, there's such a deep crossover between entertainment and hospitality and tourism. So we work in conjunction with them sometimes, and just a lot of really good resources all around. And I will start here with showing you our website. Can you do screen sharing for me, Kate?
Yes, 1 second.
No worries. It's the joys of San Francisco State Zooms. Okay.
You should be good, yeah. Perfect.
Can you see everything okay? I apologize also, it's a little dry where I'm at, so my voice feels a little cracky, but so we do a number of things, one of which is, and one of the bigger things is, we provide a ton of career resources. So if you go to the site and you check out, you know, you can hit this top one for a general overview that has everything from getting ready for an interview to launching yourself in entertainment to being in Hollywood. And there are a ton of other resources in here that range from BLM stuff to networking organizations and opportunities for women in the arts, etc. So worth checking out all of these different sets of resources. There's a lot. It can be a little bit overwhelming, but, you know, start in one, spend a little bit of time and see if there's anything of value. And there are also a ton of, you know, just resume writing and connecting with people and networking tips if you hate networking and, you know, those kind of things. So it's worth checking those out for sure. We also have internship and job postings, which can be found that way or just by scrolling under students here. And these, generally, we promote them first to our social media. And I'll pop in the chat in a minute. We're just at the CSUEA on most platforms. But opportunities, whether they're film related, industry related, or otherwise, all go on our social media first. It's our first point of access to all of our students. So there, but if you don't see something on there, you want to look more closely at these. We have, a ton of different opportunities, everything from micro internships to full-blown jobs. So check those out as well if that's something you're interested in. And then we also have an internship course that we offer that is a flat $200, and it's run through the College of Extended Learning at San Francisco State. So say you got an internship to go work with a filmmaker, and it was during the summer and the SFSU film program doesn't offer credits, or whatever situation you're in for that. You can take that course, be an active student, get credits for a flat $200, and then transfer them in to go toward your degree. So it's a really cool opportunity. Let me just pull that up here. You all. And it's very straightforward. We try and keep it really simple because, when you're interning and doing those things, we really want you to be able to be focused on showing up as the best version of yourself and being an incredible employee for that. So it's a very straightforward course. There's, a couple of forms to fill out and like a midterm and a final, but they're very experience-based. It's not a you have to study for kind of thing. So we offer that spring, summer, and fall. So if anybody is interested at any point, let me know. You can check out the site. This is also valid for people who are post-grad. So if you're done, you've finished your degree, you've graduated, and you decide that you need to go and intern somewhere, many companies now require you to be an active student. So this is a way that we have found to get around that, in which you would actually be an active student, but even if you've already finished your degree. So it's a really cool opportunity for that and worth checking out. And there isn't really a time limit. If you decide you want to do this 5 years later, it should be fine. I'm always available for questions, and I can put my email in the chat as well for those. Then we also have a grants program. And the grants program is for faculty and students both. If you're a student and you want to use it, you do have to have a sponsoring faculty member, which is just someone who can help, because a lot of the times the way that it works is by reimbursement or by transferring money to your department, and they will pay for it directly, whatever it is that you're looking for a grant for. Mostly what we cover in our grants are things like going to Sundance or going to CTN or industry conferences that you can't otherwise, get funding for. Often we will cover travel or hotel or registration fees, things like that. We also have part of our grants program that's set up around bringing folks to campus. So if you want to bring in, whether it's Zoom or live in person, if you want to bring a filmmaker on campus and have them speak to your club or to a class or anything, we will cover honorarium and workshop fees up to a certain level for that. So it's something to think about as well in that. And, there are really cool opportunities out there. And a lot of times, campuses, one, can't afford them, and two, don't have the wherewithal to make them happen for you. So we're kind of here as a sidestep for that, to be able to allow that. Another big thing, and that's all on the site as well, under opportunities. Another big thing that we do is events. So we put on a lot, I would say at least at this point once a month, which I guess I should preface by saying we are a small but mighty team of 2 full-time employees and a couple of student assistants. So for all 23 campuses. So for us, once a month is a lot of events, but they range, the beginning of last year, we did an event with the sound designers from Dune, and then some folks from The Matrix, and we've done getting hired panels and ways to get yourself your foot in the door panels, and everything. Sure, and if not, we will. And so take a look at that on our events as well. If you're interested in those, we have a whole section of upcoming usually. We also post other events on here that we're helping with or sponsoring or helping just get the word out to you. So worth checking out on those. All kinds of different things that you can learn about. I mean, it's pretty wild.
Slash senior-ish credits are weird.
Yep. Heard. Yeah. What about you, Nini?
I'm a third year, so I believe junior. I think I have junior standing.
Awesome. Okay, that's helpful to know, to think about other opportunities and things. Cool. So Kate, we just wanted to make sure that you could jump back in and get the recording started again. So I was curious about what grade levels everybody's in at the moment. And it sounds like some people are graduating, which is very exciting, and I'm sure a little intimidating on some level, and trying to figure out all the right paths. And for those who are graduating, do you have a notion about what you want to do afterwards, / anything set up for that, or is it still in process of figuring out?
Well, for me, I'm planning to hopefully look for something related to post-production, so like video editing, or publicity marketing stuff. But my plan was just to apply to a lot of internships for the summer and see where it takes me.
Okay, I'm going to circle back to that in a little bit. Cool. Interesting. Anybody else have plans that they are sure about or unsure about, or desires?
Yeah, for me, I honestly don't have a plan yet. But I do want to be like on set. I think that that's kind of one of my end goals, but I do a lot of office work here on campus, and I'm pretty good at it, very organized, and that's where I would like to start.
Cool. Okay. That's good to know.
I know that I want to go into documentary, and I want to go into producing, but I don't have like a clear path there yet. I've been doing like PA gigs here and there for documentary films that I've been a part of, and then I've been like slowly helping out some, like a producer that I know, to like get experience there as well. But yeah, I don't have anything like planned out yet.
Got it. Cool. Thank you for sharing. It's helpful. Okay, let's see here. Let's get back into that site and just. Okay, so events, check them out. Really cool. We also have an on-demand page that has some recordings of previous events if you're interested in going back and watching. There are all kinds of different categories. Sometimes the formatting gets a little wonky and may need to be rebooted. So if it does, just know that the video is still there, and you should be able to find it. But check them out. There's all kinds of interesting opportunities and things to learn about. A lot of it centered on filmmaking, but not everything. With that, the other big thing that we're doing is offering free and discounted opportunities to things. So we are constantly trying to find partners who will come in on the CSU side and offer things like screenwriting software, or masterclass is a big one that we're doing, where you can apply for a free year of masterclass and look at all of the courses that they've put together. It doesn't matter to us what you're watching on it, if it's cooking experts or filmmaking experts or sports experts, whatever they have, it's up to you. But that opportunity lives in here as well. Virtual Hollywood bootcamp course for SF State. You all should have free Adobe access. If you do not, let me know. I know that there's been some back and forth between that being automatic or not this year, but we are working with all kinds of different majors to make sure that they get access to that. So that exists as well. Highland 2 for script writing. There's a bunch of things on here worth checking out that are either no cost or very low cost. One of those is entertainmentcareers.net, which usually has the first and most up-to-date opportunities in the industry posted, and it's a pretty massive discount that we've negotiated with them for a year-long subscription. So if you're looking, which it sounds like some of you are, for opportunities, that's a way to go as well and checking out. And I mean, mostly our job here is to help get you your foot in the door, regardless of what that looks like for you. And like, we're just here to help and provide what we can. So we also do some looking at resumes for folks and I work hard to find specific opportunities for people who are actively looking for them. So if you have a resume that you want me to look at, or are interested in a certain company that we may have connections to, I'm happy to chat about it. And I'm just going to put this in here now while we're talking about it, so you all have my direct email for this kind of thing. And I mean, now is the time, really, if you're graduating, to start looking into those opportunities and making sure your resume is up to date and your LinkedIn is up to date and everything is kind of set up for you to go. A lot of internships for big companies start recruiting in the fall. And so once you get to this time of year, it gets a little scarier for people sometimes, because they're seeing that all these big companies are, filling up their spots and all of that. And part of what we like to suggest at that point is looking at the smaller boutique companies and looking at those kind of opportunities, because you're probably going to learn a lot more, a lot faster. And it's a great resume building skill. So even if you are dreaming of working at Pixar or, Warner Brothers or whatever it is, and if you're not getting in right now, keep looking for more opportunities that are going to get you resume building experience, because it will all help down the line. We've also found that a lot of folks who apply to those and get in find that they don't actually like working for those companies. So while it's amazing to have a dream to do that, it's worth checking into other, places that are doing what you're actually interested in. There is one that, as you were sharing about graduating, that I'm thinking about, that we're working to put together with Entertainment Industry Foundation and some other folks, an opportunity for what is actually going to turn out to be a feature film project that is done on weekends only. And it's a SAG project, and it's all of these things so that people can get more experience on actual sets with this very interesting and well-respected filmmaker and person in the industry. So that's coming down the line, and hopefully will be happening throughout the spring, or the rest of the spring. And I don't know how long he's going to be doing that, but he's creating this specifically for people to come and get big on-set experience and get this opportunity. So keep an eye out on our social and on our things for that. And if you don't see it, feel free to email me in a couple of weeks if you're interested. But we get opportunities that are sometimes sounding kind of strange in that way, where they'll come to us and be like, we want to try this out, but they're really good skill building and resume building opportunities. With that being said, also, I want to put it out to you all, if you come across resources within, what you all are up to that you think are interesting and helpful for other people, I would love to know about them. Obviously, we're trying our best to keep on top of everything, but can't do all of the things. So if you see, opportunities, whether they're grants or film conferences or, feminist filmmaker information, whatever it is, feel free to email me, and I would love to hear about them. So with that kind of overview and put out there, I would love to know if you have any questions or things that you are thinking about that you would love some feedback on, or anything in between.
I have a question. You mentioned earlier about these other, you have one for entertainment and water and hospitality. How are they all connected? And is there a way for other students to get connected into the other alliances?
A great question, and one that I don't think I've ever had before. So with hospitality and tourism, absolutely. They're based out of San Diego State, but we can absolutely connect folks there if they're interested in that. And with the water and agriculture ones, the folks that run that I've never actually met, but I'm sure if there were a request for that kind of connection, we could make that happen. The way that it was created was by Chancellor White when he was, I believe it was Chancellor White when he was in office, and he wanted to build these initiatives to help foster these parts of the economy, especially since so many Californians are CSU grads. And so training and doing all of this stuff for each of those industries. So they're housed under the Chancellor's office, which is down in Long Beach, but each kind of separated out in a good setting for them. I think, honestly, they didn't want SoCal schools at the time, which was, 15, 20 years ago, to be competing over the entertainment related ones. So they brought it to San Francisco State. And it turned out to be probably one of the best decisions, because now we are in this hub of tech, and this crossover of tech and entertainment is happening, obviously. So being in the middle of that has been really amazing, for all of these opportunities. And that's another thing to look into as you're, thinking about filmmaking opportunities, whether they're documentary, narrative, anything else, is that all of these companies, they need content creators and content producers and, all of these things. So even if it feels a little outside of, working for a film company or something like that, those opportunities are everywhere. So yeah, so did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Hannah, have you started looking for opportunities already, or are you waiting for a little bit longer? Where are you at on that?
So with me, I've been super busy lately because I've been working with this wonderful director in the Bay Area, who is just starting to begin production on this feature documentary that he wants to do. So I've been PAing for him, and then he's gonna try and get me into a more of a producing role. And then through him, I also met a DP in the area who is working on his own documentary, and he offered me the producer position there, but nothing is like set in stone yet. So I guess I'm sort of waiting to see how those go. And I've been working closely with both of them on this first documentary for about a month now. So yeah.
Cool. That sounds exciting. There's also a program I want to throw out there where we've been working for a couple of years that are based around climate change or indigenous cultures and things like that, and help. Oh, it's like my Wi-Fi is cutting out now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, did a little reset. Hopefully that's better. So they're doing this travel abroad program. This one this summer is doing Costa Rica, and I'm considering doing it myself, but it's a really interesting program because it's a 4-week documentary intensive. And you get to do all of these different roles. So I'm happy to share that information as well if anybody's interested.
I would be 100% super majorly interested.
Cool. Let me pop it in the chat. Pull it up here.
That's exactly what I want to go into, actually. It's like environmental documentary.
Okay. Amazing. Curse of way too many tabs. Here we go.
That's part of the reason I asked about the agriculture and hospitality. I knew Hannah was interested in that climate change kind of thing, so I was asking for you, Hannah.
Yeah, that's an amazingly wide area to get into as well, in the sense that like most of those folks don't have the budgets to hire massive people to create their content, but they need it to help spread the word and get those things out. So yeah, it's an interesting area to be getting into, and I think there's a lot of opportunity there for sure. Yeah. Cool. Are there other areas, Gabriella? Remind me again what you're interested in.
Oh, I'm a second year right now, and
Yeah.
I think I'm still like figuring it all out a bit more, but I really want to get into producing. And there's like an internship that I applied to recently for the SF MoMA as like an interpretive media arts intern, and I think that's like my dream.
Wow, cool.
But I think it's like, I feel like I don't have as much experience, so I applied for it, but I'm still waiting to hear back if I get anything.
Yeah. Well, as you're applying, if you need somebody to look at your application materials, or need a letter of rec, often we can provide that if we have some context for you and understand your resume and those things. And you don't have to have a ton of experience for a lot of internships, which is great. So I will cross my fingers for you and hope that comes through. That sounds amazing. Cool. Okay. Are there other fields that you all are interested in specifically? Kate, what's your goal?
Right now I'm leaning more into art direction.
Cool. So wide and interesting field as well. Have any of you looked at joining unions?
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I have. I remember back in high school, I had a professor that studied film, and he was really big on telling us, if you're gonna pursue the film industry, get a union job because you need benefits, you need something to like, in case, an emergency or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know much about it. I researched a little bit, but I don't know much.
Yeah. We're going to be doing an event coming up in April with CSU Fullerton as partners, doing an all Spanish event for joining unions then, and then we're going to do one in English as well at some point here soon. But, it's not something that for me was ever brought to my attention early on. And now that I'm finding out more about it, I wish it was, because there's so many opportunities and so much, they really push for you to make enough money to live for sure, and usually a bit more than that, and full covered for you and your dependents, or like the insurance and everything. And especially when you're in film and it's harder, by doing gig work to get those coverages and experiences. It's a really pretty amazing way to handle that. So worth checking those out as well. And there's a whole unions and guilds section of our resources as well, if you're interested. But I mean, even reaching out and getting some info, I think is really critical at this point, just because of so many unknowns in our society and such. And having that kind of support can be really helpful, especially for independent folks. So worth checking out.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I wish I had known when I was younger that was a route. And a lot of the ones that are down in LA, they have pretty strong connections and they do everything. And this blew my mind when I found this out. They have folks in their union in IATSE that are like sewing professionals that do upholstery that they cannot find enough of. Right. Because and for me, I was like, who would think of that? Like, if you like to sew, you're probably not going to be the first thing to be like, I want to get into film. Right. Like, but they're really well paid and very well, demanded. So there's a lot of constant work for that kind of role. And it just blew my mind. But, and they cover everything from set building to, whether it's film or theater, to upholstery, to there's editing guilds. We just had a part 2 of the editing guild that we ran last Saturday for info on that, and both of those, part 1 and part 2, are on our on-demand page as well. So if anybody's interested in editing, those are very, very informational. They spent an extra 2 hours on Zoom with people just answering questions, because there's so many of folks just trying to be an assistant editor somewhere. So all of that exists and is a really good asset. Joy, what are you interested in getting into?
Grad school.
Where?
Well, I'm hoping the big ones, of course, but yeah, I don't know. It'd be nice to do NYU or Columbia or UCLA, but SF State's right here.
It is, and it's a pretty interesting program. And I guess it kind of depends on what you want to get into with it. But
yeah. No, I want to do writing and directing, but mostly, of course, it just diversity of programs by not staying at the same school for undergrad and grad. Yeah.
Understood. Yeah. It's a lot of very interesting and cool opportunities too. I will say also, if anybody's interested, there is a program in LA called Hollywood CPR, and they do some actual hands-on, really good trainings for things. So that's worth checking out as well. There's so much to look into and look at. Even I get overwhelmed, and I, put a lot of these resources together, so I get it on the other end as well. Cool. Okay. I feel like for me that covers most of the things that we offer and do. But again, I'm happy to answer more questions if anybody has them.
I have another question. I'm not necessarily looking to stay in California after graduation. Do you have resources outside of California, or is it mostly focused here?
Most of it is focused on California, but it's not all of it. Okay. What kind of thing are you thinking about?
Well, my plans have changed a little bit, and my housing situation might end up taking me somewhere that I didn't want to go. So right now it's looking like Austin, Texas. Mm-hmm. But my LA was my first choice. So
okay. Yeah. I mean, it's so hard in California to afford living anywhere that is populated at this point. I'm in the same struggle. We're talking about moving up toward Seattle area. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot of pressure in that context. So I get that. Definitely have other opportunities, places. Our executive director, Dina Ibrahim, is a professor of Becca, and she's originally from Egypt and then worked for the BBC and did all of these very cool things. Yes, Joey, Seattle is also very expensive. But Dina has also went to University of Texas, somewhere out there. So she knows a lot of folks in that area too. So if you're looking specifically for, film or TV or whatever it is related, opportunities, definitely worth pursuing that. Another area, there are two other areas that I think people, especially in film, kind of overlook that have a lot of money in them. One is the AR, VR, XR world, and creating content for that. It's, billions. Actually, there are three that I want to cover. AR, VR, XR, esports, which also has a lot of film content and a lot of things happening there, and unscripted. And I feel like a lot of, especially filmmakers, shy away from unscripted because it has the connotation of Real Housewives or, the kind of what we would call trashier TV. I have my shows that I love that I don't really tell people about usually because they're guilty pleasures, but I also am not ashamed of them. But that being said, there are some very interesting unscripted opportunities, whether they be like MasterChef or, the Lego builders, or there's so many that are actually more interesting, more content driven than, just the what is the one I'm trying to think of with the sisters that now I've, the Kardashians and that kind of stuff, and there's a ton of money in it, and it's a brand new field that they're like, one of the things that Dina and I are working on with some unscripted folks down in LA is doing a curriculum based on that, because nobody's teaching it, right? It's so new that it's, there, but that also means it's an incredible time to get in and get experience. And there's a program through the TV Academy that we partner with them on that specifically puts people in companies in unscripted, and they do apprenticeships there. So they're getting paid and they're doing that, but they're also getting the experience in that. And that's usually in the summer. That's all kinds of, interesting opportunities and things to look into. And it just is, it's at this point, I think if you're really clear on what you want to do and you're really committed to it, absolutely pursue that. I do not like ever telling people they should not pursue their dreams. I think that's garbage. Go after what you want. If you don't know, or you want to try something else, or, play around a little bit, I think there are a lot of fields that could really use some film love. So, yeah.
I have a question, since you mentioned the Television Academy. Their program, like for the internship portion, it's only for students that are based in SoCal, right? For
the apprenticeship one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have a Southern California address. They're really pushing for Southern California schools right now, which we have had many conversations with them about. They have a little bit of hands tied situation, but we are working on trying to expand that, because we know how much talent exists, up north and other places that are not centered around LA, because people can't afford to be in LA. like that kind of, or for whatever reason they're not there. It's not necessarily about affording, but we are actively working with all of these places to try and create more opportunities. I think the film project that I mentioned with the producer who wants to do the weekend one, I think they may be doing some filming up here. We may actually be looking specifically for a San Francisco crew for at least a couple of days of that. So I'll be sure to put that once we get the information on that and how to apply, I'll get that to you all as well. But yeah, I mean, yes, that one is Southern California based at the moment. If you have, I probably shouldn't say this on the recording, but if you have, you know, relatives that you can stay with in LA, I think that may be a way to also do that. So we are very much at the CSUEA about trying to sidestep some of the unpleasant restrictions that exist. So yeah.
Geographic restrictions on reality.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah. And part of it is, you know, it's a similar thing for the Ava DuVernay opportunity with Evolve, that they were really focused because it was, you know, pushed through the mayor's office in LA. They were really focused on folks who lived in LA, and that's great to a certain extent. And I know that they want to provide opportunities for folks who don't have them down there. And here we all are way outside of there and in need of opportunity. So, you know, we got to create them where we can at this point. Yeah. Does anybody else have any other questions, clarifying or otherwise? Cool. Well, if you think of any questions, if later you're looking back and, you know, you want to throw something my way, feel free. My email's in the chat, hseppa@calstate.edu. Happy to answer, happy to help where I can. And let's get you some cool jobs.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, we're going to send out an email probably tomorrow or Wednesday with the recording and your email to the rest of our members that couldn't make it. And hopefully they have some more questions for you. And yeah, thank you again so much.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And feel free to reach out, even if it's on a personal note.